Hi, this is Derek. Welcome back to 31 Days of Horror, my 2014 horror movie review extravaganza, whatever. Today is a very special review, and that's of Child's Play. This is the 1988 classic, very first Chucky movie ever to come out. So I guess first and foremost, I should mention, yeah, I reviewed this movie before. Maybe you know that, maybe you don't. But well, for one thing, I mean, hey, you can like a movie and watch a movie more than once. You can review it more than once, right? So you always have something new to say about it and want to share your thoughts on it more than once. You shouldn't be restricted to one 4 or 5 minute video or whatever. So I mean, there's that. Second of all, kind of the reason why I wanted to do this review is that first Child's Play movie review. Well, like, kind of, I guess when I was first doing reviews, like I did reviews of the Child's Play movies, and that's kind of like in my first sort of wave of reviews, Derek Year One on YouTube, where I was like, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna like put clips of the movies and record my review over it and show the clips. I'm smart. No, very stupid. Copyright bots are so bad on YouTube. And, I guess I didn't realize that, and so, you can put all the little warnings you want, like, oh, this is for review purposes only, no copyright infringement. No, it doesn't matter. Bots are going to get you. And so, with the first movie at least, particularly, and the thing is, you put a lot of work into that, so that always disappointed me. Like, I would rip the movie from my own DVD onto my computer, the whole movie, and select clips just to fit into that, 4 or 5 minutes or so. And I wanted, the right clip at the right time in my review, whatever. Then, like, you upload, and like 5 minutes later, like, copyright dispute from whoever, MGM in this case. Then that sucks. And so, like, where it currently stands, at least for the first review, knock on wood for the other ones, it just wouldn't let me upload it with the clips. So where it currently stands, if you see that review on my channel, it's really just a picture of the poster of Child's Play with my review over it, which is kind of boring, I guess, but maybe not more or less boring than just, me talking in front of this camera here. But this is my way of, hey, giving it another shot. This is just, kind of a, hopefully, laid back kind of video. Just shooting the shit about Child's Play. Isn't that fun? Let's talk about Child's Play a little bit, huh? And it's, I don't really have anything written or anything, so it's just whatever comes from my head out my mouth ends up on your YouTube video that you're watching. So hey, lucky you that you're watching this. So I have no idea how long this is going to be. Already, I feel like I've droned on for quite a bit. So sit back, relax. Let's talk Child's Play. So, and I guess in a sense I'll be talking about, my experiences with the movie as well. So, alternate video title, Chucky and Me, an autobiography. How about that? Yeah, that's cool. When I was a kid, I mean, Chucky didn't really scare me that much. Like, I first saw the movie, the first one, Child's Play, original 1988 version, when I was a kid, maybe 7 or 8 years old, I would say, somewhere around there. And it didn't scare me as much as, say, Freddy or even like Jason did, I would say. But it was kind of a cool position to be in at that point in your childhood, when your parents would let you watch that kind of stuff, because some parents are stricter than others, which I'm glad I had cool parents who let me watch things that I probably shouldn't be watching. So that's cool. And it became that a lot of people on YouTube will talk about, a lot of horror fans will harken back to their days in the video aisle, the horror section. It's just not the same as, Netflix scroll through. There was, I don't know, just this sacred ritual about it. But at the same time, because, most video stores would probably only have one copy of a movie, it was hard to watch these movies in order. So any other, horror franchise, Freddy movies I watched completely out of order. Jason's too. What's notable for me, at least in my personal experiences, I did watch the Chucky movies in the order in which they came. So I did watch the first movie first, which was good. But at the time there was only 3, so hey. But actually, you know what? I didn't even rent, at least not the first one, from the video store. It was a friend of a friend had a VHS tape of it. It wasn't, an official VHS. I think it was taped off tape or taped off TV, cable, or something like that, or even like maybe a bootleg or something. But I remember that actually vividly. It was a friend of a friend lent it to me. Had the title written on themselves on the VHS, which was another kind of sort of nostalgic thing about your own video collections, like doing your own custom art in a very stupid way. But it's the Child's Play title, and just like on the title here, except instead of on the P, it was on the Y. It like came down like a knife, and they had drawn like blood dripping out of it. So that was pretty cool. I still remember that. But yeah, that's my little story about how I was first exposed to Chucky and to Child's Play. So to talk about the movie itself, it starts out almost like an 80s cop thriller, almost. Like, this is a movie where you don't know quite what to expect, but I would say actually it's a lot more cleverly written, this one specifically, than I think it gets credit for, because when you think about it, it sets up everything in that very first scene. So you have the criminal who's played by Brad Dourif, which is also interesting because up until recently with Curse of Chucky, that was the first time we actually saw Brad Dourif, flesh and blood Brad Dourif, playing Charles Lee Ray. So that's interesting, I think. And so you see him running away from the cop, and it's Chris Sarandon is the cop character. There's a shootout, so yeah, it feels kind of like 80s cop movie. So you're not sure, like, hey, what is this? I thought this was a horror movie or something. But then you see how it's set up, where what would come into play later importance in the plot, where the getaway driver moves on without him. He's like, "You motherfucker, why are you leaving me?" Stuff like that. "I'm gonna get you," and he gets shot. Goes into the toy store of all places. And it's kind of sets it up in a way where you're like, okay, I kind of see what's going on. Toy store here, and that's where he puts his soul into the good guy doll, basically, and that's kind of how it sets up. So that's also interesting. Like, of all the things that he could have chosen, a good guy doll, like, I don't know, what if he chose like a Teddy Ruxpin or something like that? I don't know. But you see his like voodoo magic, fucking voodoo magic, man. And the clouds going up and the lightning striking, everything exploding, and he's like, "I'll come back, I'm gonna get you, you fucking cop," and blah blah blah. And so Chris Sarandon's just like, okay, I guess I killed him, cool. But no, not really. So that sets up everything we need to know. That's how we know with the later scenes to come, that there will be something supernatural involved in this movie. Like, in case you didn't know that this was a movie about a fucking killer doll. But that sets that up, and I think it does a really good job of setting up that, yes, we know something, paranormal is going to be going on here, supernatural, voodoo kind of stuff, but also setting up for what would happen later, what Chucky's goals are in this movie, what he's gonna, where his path of vengeance is supposed to be leading. So he's gonna get the getaway driver. He's gonna get the cop that caught him. So I thought that was all done well, and it's a quick scene. It's like a 3-minute scene, really. So I think it is clever in setting up everything in that respect. So there is that, which I like. But then, of course, it moves into the primary story, where we see Andy Barclay, played by Alex Vincent. Typical little kid. I don't know how old he was, probably like 5 or 6 years old. I can't remember if the plot revolves around his birthday. I don't even remember how old they say he is. But like 5 or 6 or something, like maybe 7. But whatever, that's not really important. But and what it does in that scene is also, I think, really effective, because what it does in that scene, like, this is a late 80s movie, it sets up very effectively kind of like the climate of, little kids being tailored as consumerists, because, this is, it's probably worse today, but in the 80s, you had like the Saturday morning cartoons that were essentially toy commercials, like He-Man, Transformers, Ninja Turtles, all just really selling you toys, basically. Not to say that they don't have their value. There's just I know there's people who are like, fuck yeah, He-Man is the best show, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. So you see him watching the Good Guy show, and it's this stupid cheap show as they usually are, and kind of like, oh, ask your parents to talk about buy the Good Guy doll, and then they have the new Good Guy doll come out, the talking Good Guy doll, which is all the rage for all the kids. So I mean, I think it was somewhat inspired by, the Cabbage Patch Kid craze that occurred in the 80s. Like, everybody had to get these Cabbage Patch Kids. So, what are these things? Why does my fucking kid want it? I don't know. But it's something like that, basically, that they set up, which I thought was pretty good. So they very effectively established that climate, which, maybe to a viewer, like say, an adult viewer watching this movie in 1988, be like, yeah, okay, I get it. But at least for like a viewer even present time now, we'll be able to effectively get it, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So, it's Andy's birthday. He makes the horrible breakfast because he can't cook worth shit. Globs on the butter onto the burnt toast, overflows the cereal bowl, makes his mom breakfast in bed. Bless him, he tries, I guess. And, it's his birthday, he's excited, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. So I think it sets up that atmosphere well. Like, you understand very quickly what their kind of situation is. It's just a kid and his mom living in an apartment. They're not like super rich or anything, so you get that sense right away. Since it's his birthday, he's getting his birthday gifts. And obviously what he wants is the Good Guy doll, and what he gets is not so much. He gets like a Good Guy playset or something like that. And, his mom, played by Catherine Hicks, can right away like sense the disappointment. First he opens clothes and it's like, oh, you want some toys, don't you? And he opens the toys, and they're Good Guy toys, but it's not the Good Guy doll. So he's quite upset with that, and he's not not quick to hide it. So his mom is kind of disappointed that she let her son down, and he's pouting about it. I want a Good Guy doll, and like, okay, listen, kid, I don't know what your situation is. I don't know, if your dad left you, or if he left or something, or if he died, whatever your situation is, kid. Listen, your mom is a single mom. She's doing her best to raise you. So why don't you stop acting like a little bitch and just be happy with the presents, okay? She's doing her best. She's working a shitty job in a department store. So why don't you show a little respect? Well, no. He's a kid, What can you expect from a kid? That's how kids are. They don't sugarcoat things, for better or worse. So sorry for yelling at the little kid. But as the plot progresses, we see the Catherine Hicks character, Andy's mom, at her work. She works at a department store. Her friend lets her know that, hey, there's some peddler in the back alley. Always a good start, who has this Good Guy doll. So he can sell it for cheap, and so she buys the Good Guy doll off the peddler. So what could possibly go wrong in that respect, right? But what we already know as the audience is like, okay, that homeless guy, he got it from the wreckage of the toy store, from Charles Lee Ray's demise, basically. So, and we already know that, yep, that's the doll that he put his soul into. That's how this is going to be. So we know that, and the suspense is that we already know how this is going to go down, but how is it going to go down? How is it going to be revealed? What exactly is going to happen? So that's kind of the appeal to the movie, I think. So he gets the doll. He's super happy. She brings the box in, like, here, you little fucker, have the toy, and he's happy. He has the Good Guy doll, and that's great. So that'd be like if this was like a half-hour sitcom, that would be like the end of the show. It'd be like, oh, I had to deal with this weird peddler outside, but I got my kid the doll. Hooray! Happy ending. So roll credits, laugh track. But no, this is a horror movie, so there's more to come. So she's stuck working, and her friend babysits, and right away you're tuning into Chucky. Our attention is on the Chucky doll, because we know, of course, that he's possessed. So hey, what's going to happen here? He's watching TV, and he sees his partner, the getaway driver, on the news, and Andy's like, oh, Chucky wants to watch the 11 o'clock news. Can we stay up? And babysitter's like, come on, whatever. No, Go to bed. So Chucky doesn't take that well, and that's when his very first murder strikes. And what's clever about that is you do not see anything that happens in that. Like, it's a typical kind of horror scene with the babysitter where she's like, I heard a noise. What's going on? Huh? What? Huh? And, whatever. Then she turns around right towards camera. Then we see, I guess it's Chucky's point of view, the hammer right into the fucking head. And then she flies out the window and falls into a car out the apartment building. So, pretty gruesome death. So that's Chucky's first confirmed kill. So, hey, cool. No, rest in peace, babysitter lady. We will miss you and your sassiness. She was a fun character, I think. She had like the little back and forth with the boss, which I thought was funny. So, makes her a memorable character, not like this completely boring character. So you do kind of feel bad, and we do know, as it was established in the earlier scenes, that she's friends with Andy's mom. So they may have a friendship that goes back a little bit. So you feel quite bad, I guess. Maybe not. Maybe you just want Chucky kill more people. I don't know. I don't know what your deal is. But I felt a little bit bad. So then it becomes a murder investigation. That's when we reintroduce the Chris Sarandon character into the story as the detective, who is treating this as an accident initially, but he has his suspicions that there's been foul play, and that possibly it's a murder. Or did Andy murder her? I don't know. Maybe it was a possessed demon doll. No, that can't be it. So that's kind of what sets into play. That's where all the kind of cards come stacked back together into the plot, where everything from that first scene is slowly but surely coming together, which I like. So again, I think it is a cleverly written movie, and so it just, of course, escalates from there. Andy keeps telling that his doll is alive. His real name is Charles Lee Ray, because he let him in on his little secret. So what's also interesting about that is, like, it's left to our imagination. They must have these, like, little conversations, like late at night before bed, Chucky's like talking to the little kid, whispering secrets in his ear, saying horrible things. Like, I think I just watched this movie again recently. I can't remember. He said, "Oh, Linda was a bitch, so she deserved to die." Like, what? I actually don't really remember. Something like that, I think. So there's things that I think are effectively creepy, because it's left to your imagination to kind of think about, what's going on with Chucky and this kid. How is he corrupting this kid? What is he whispering in his ear at night? So that's a creepy thought, I think. And again, it kind of plays with, I think I mentioned this in the first few, kind of plays with, though of course we know better as the audience, of Andy being insane, sort of like having these delusions, which if we didn't have that opening scene, maybe we'd sort of think that a little bit more, but that really just adds to the tension in the movie, where they think he's a troubled kid, where they think there's something wrong with his head and he's imagining things. But also kids are just really imaginative people. They make up little imaginary friends. I'm sure you did when you were a kid. You made up little friends, or maybe even you said your doll was alive when you were a kid, and that's how it really is. I mean, and that's what's clever about this movie too. Like, where's the boundary between what a little kid's imagination is, and what if it's actually real? So I think that's something that you can relate to as a kid or an adult. Like, I saw this as a kid, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I get it. So there is something about that, like about where does imagination end and where does a real thing begin. So that would probably be part of the appeal of, say, the Toy Story movies or what have you. So every kid, I think, has that kind of, I guess, sort of fantasy, for lack of a better word. But in this case, it's not a fun and fancy-free Pixar film. It's a fucking horror movie where the doll kills people. So yeah, take that into consideration. So yeah, it moves on with the plot, and again, Chucky is aiming to get revenge on the getaway driver. He convinces Andy, to take a train all across town, and he successfully kills the guy, and that's where it kind of comes to the point where, okay, this kid is fucking crazy. Let's put him in an institution, and that's that's a scary thing in a movie, and some of the scenes where he's a kid actor. I mean, Alex Vincent, not like Haley Joel Osment or whatever, but I think he does pull off a pretty convincing performance where he's just a normal kid who's put into this crazy, horrifying circumstance, and no one believes him, basically. And meanwhile, we know as the audience that yes, this doll is possessed. Yes, it's making him do these things. So it's really effective in the tension, and so that's where mother that she is loves her kid like she does. She is starting to believe him that maybe this doll is real, and it comes to that great scene in the movie where she sees that the batteries weren't in the whole time, weren't in the good guy doll. Comes with free batteries. Batteries are right here. How's this thing talking the whole time? What's going on here? And so it is almost like a silly scene where she's holding up the Chucky doll, has the fire ready. She's like, say something or I'm gonna throw you in the fire. And that's the moment we're all waiting for. That's the key moment of this movie, because again, up until that point, we don't see Chucky in action. But then all of a sudden, doll comes alive. You fucking bitch! I'm gonna fucking kill you. Awesome horror scene. So fun, terrifying. Take your pick. So yeah, that's such a great scene, and he bites her and runs off. So that is such a great scene because I think it earns that scare and earns that little thrill because up until that point, it is kind of sort of like the Jaws effect, where with Jaws you didn't see the entire shark the whole time. So kind of similar effect where you don't see Chucky in action the whole time. Meanwhile, in all the sequels, like Chucky's like front and center, doing whatever, just a main character that we all come to know and love. And they kind of brought it back to sort of those types of roots that this movie did with Curse of Chucky, which I know a lot of people appreciate, and I did too. So, there's just something about this first movie though, where they're able to get away with that, I think. So they kind of play with that with the second movie too. So I think it is effective in how they do that. So it really makes the movie worth it. And so that's really like, I would say that's the halfway point of the movie where that happens. So at that point, all fucking bets are off. So then it becomes kind of the mystery aspect to it, where hey, what's going on here? Meanwhile, kids in the mental institution, mother is trying to find out what's going on, trying to trace down the peddler that sold the doll to her, and she's saying, what's going on here? And that brings back Chris Sarandon into the movie. Meanwhile, he still thinks it's like, kid's crazy, she's crazy, what a crazy family, what have I gotten myself into? So they're still at that point, and she's almost raped by the fucking peddler, who's seemed like just kind of a goofy guy in the first scene. In the second scene, he like horrible fucker. So Chris Sarandon saves the day. Great. And then it's at that point where Chucky attacks him in his car. So again, all bets are off after that first part. So we see Chucky in action. He's like, hey, Mikey, I'm going to get you, Mikey. And that's a great scene, too. And again, it does feel not even just like a horror movie. It feels like, kind of like an action scene in like a cop movie, sort of. So I like that. I really like that scene. And again, I think it plays the tension up really well. It's a well done scene where it's just so absurd, but you still go with it. Like, okay, cop. It seems like cop that you've seen in any other cop show, Hunter, Miami Vice, or whatever 80s cop show. There's still like a million cop shows out there. So take your pick. In a chase scene, but in this case, it's just a fucking doll, a possessed doll inside the car, which is really a demented strangler killer that has transferred his soul into a doll. Wow, what a fucking stupid movie. No, but it's cool. So I think with the way it establishes the tension in the first half of the movie, I think it does earn the fun that it has in the second parts of the movie. So I liked all that. I feel like at this point I'm just describing the whole movie, but whatever. But hopefully you've seen it, and it's just a trip down memory lane, basically. So really what it all boils down to is, how now that Chucky's done what he wanted to do and gotten revenge on everybody except the cop. He still has the cop on his list. He in that scene, in the chase scene in the car, he gets shot. And guess what? It hurt. It hurt like a son of a bitch. It even bled. That's his line. And so he goes back to one of his voodoo apprentice, or not apprentice, but voodoo council, I guess, and saying, "Hey, what's going on here?" And so he teaches him the trick, and this is like typical Chucky lore. We all know at this point, well, even though it changes from movie to movie, basically, that the trick to it, how he can transfer his soul once again. He can't do what he did before for some reason, unless he has the heart of Damballa, apparently, as we established in Bride of Chucky. He has to transfer his soul into the person that he into the person that he first revealed his secret to, that he's really Charles Lee Ray, and that just happens to be Andy. So that's where the movie comes to at that point. So it becomes, before he's just kind of using the kid as a pawn. Now he's in serious danger, and so he's off to the asylum to get him. So it becomes this whole big chase scene. It's all very well done, I think. He's chasing him around. And he gets back home, and then it leads to that great scene. Again, I feel like I'm describing the whole movie, but it's such a good scene where he's on the elevator, and then there's that older couple who sees the Chucky doll, and they're like, "Oh, someone left their doll here." And the old man's like, "No, just leave it there. Whoever lost it will come back looking for it." Lady's all like, "Ugly doll," and then walk away. Elevator's going up. Fuck you. I love that scene. It's such a funny scene. And again, I think, because they set up kind of the vagueness in the first few acts of the film, and because once there was that fireplace scene, all bets were off. Now it's like, hey, let's bring a little humor into this, and that's an important thing, I think, because Chucky, he does have personality, which you could say for a character like Freddy too, but he's not like Jason or Michael Myers, where he's just a mindless killer. He has a personality, which I think Brad Dourif absolutely brings to the character in a big bad way. Really, I honestly don't think this movie would work without Brad Dourif's contributions to the film. I sincerely don't. So kind of like with Robert Englund, Freddy, moving beyond the makeup, Brad Dourif in his vocal performance brings a little more to Chucky and makes him a memorable character. He really sincerely does. So I thought he was just perfect casting, and of course, the effects really help as well. I mean, there's no doubt about that. If the effects were stupid and cheesy, movie wouldn't work. No way. And I think the effects are well done. The animatronic Chucky effects are absolutely very well done. Maybe a little bit dated. Like, you can tell there's a little stiffness in the Chucky effects, which is fine. And even in some scenes, I don't know if this was intentional or not, but you can hear the gears moving. So I don't know if that was something that they intended or just they couldn't help. So it's interesting. I actually don't know the answer to that. If you know the answer to that, if you're still awake, comment below. Let me know what's going on there. If they intended that or just was unavoidable for whatever reason. So yeah, whatever. And of course, there are scenes where they have a little person in like a Chucky costume, which it's very obvious the difference between the two is. So you see that in the scene where he comes through. I think he makes it through the chimney. I think, if I'm not mistaken. So comes to get Andy. Everyone comes together. Mother, cop's partner, Chucky's there. Throw him in the fire. This is the end, friend. Whoosh. Horrible acting. And Chucky's on fire, but hey, he's not dead. So they establish Chucky can't fucking die. He'll just keep on coming at you, this little fucker. That's how they establish that. And then you shoots him. Then the separate arm comes alive, and the mouth is still moving, and then it finally is. They shoot him in the heart. That's how the movie ends. So that is Child's Play. If you why watch the movie? That's my description of the movie. So yeah, I love the movie. I really do. Just such a classic. Even though it didn't really scare me as a kid, there's something about it that did capture my imagination. Because like I said, when you're a kid, you kind of have this big imagination where you think, hey, what if my toys are really alive? And if they are really alive, and if they're possessed by a killer, that's a problem, and that's a good premise for a horror movie. So I'm absolutely positive that there are people who do find it genuinely scary, who are terrified by it, because it's like, hey, late at night, all the lights are off. you're like looking in your room when you're a kid, you see all your dolls. What if like one of these creepy dolls, especially like a really creepy looking one, what if it came to life? You know, I had this clown doll when I was a kid. Never mind. But you know, it's something that I think people respond to, and I think it's something relatable. Where you can kind of visualize that, and so it's absolutely, you know, perfect premise for a movie that taps into that kind of fears. And there is, you know, something very very specific about, you know, just this, I don't know, sort of like a deep perversion of something that is sacred, like a child's toy. Why, you know, this horrible, awful killer is, uh, you know, desanctifying this, you know, sacred thing, and perversing it. So I think there's something that people respond to in that as well. Um, so it does tap into certain fears like that. So I think it's a very effectively done movie. You know, while Tom Holland directed it, really kind of the mastermind behind it was Don Mancini, who went on to do all the sequels. So I think, you know, with each movie, they kind of added to the lore a little bit more. So they could only really get away with this specific type of story just once with this movie, which I think they do well. This one I've probably, honestly, I've seen this more than any of the other ones. I don't know why, because I wouldn't even say it's my favorite of all of them. It's actually hard to choose. Like, I really like 2, but I really like Bride of Chucky too, and even like Curse of Chucky. I found it's like slowly making its way into, you know, my top Chucky movies. Seed would definitely be my least favorite, but I don't know. I've just seen this more than the other ones. I don't know. So there's something self-contained about this. There's something very classic and primal about this that I think audiences, they do truly respond to, and they keep coming back to. And I think there's great credit that we owe to the writers of this movie, to the animatronic puppeteers of this movie, to Brad Dourif, who pulls off the excellent job as Chucky. And I think everything just, you know, came together in a great way. So I think it is a convincing movie. It is a cleverly written movie. And I think there's good reason why it remains the classic that it is, and why Chucky himself is up there with Jason, with Michael Myers, with uh, Freddy Krueger. He is up there, and you know, the horror icons, I guess you could say, and there's absolutely good reason for that. And I think this is, you know, again, not my favorite, probably the definitive Chucky movie, where, you know, even if, say, I don't know, I think you could show this to somebody who's not, say, a horror hound or whatever, because it's not a particularly bloody movie, and it does have scenes that, you know, ease the tension a little bit. You know, Chucky's little one-liners, you know, like "fuck you" to the lady in the elevator, things like that. And it's not, yeah, it's not really gory or anything like that. At least I don't think so. There's not a lot of blood, and so, you know, it feels kind of like a sort of genre mixed movie where there is horror to it, there is thriller element to it, and there is, you know, kind of like, yeah, like it feels almost like in some ways, you know, police procedural type of movie with the Chris Sarandon character. And you know, it's a shame that Chris Sarandon never returned to this series, which I always liked him in this movie. I'm not sure why. I don't know if it was him personally or just kind of generally the direction that they're going in these movies, why he never came back. Maybe Chucky Goes Hawaii and he'll be back. Who knows? That was a weird wink. I'm having a seizure. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I thought he does a really good job. Did a really good job in this movie. And Catherine Hicks too. Again, she didn't come back for any of the sequels. So you know, I think it all boils down to just the general direction that I guess Don Mancini felt the series was going into. So you know, it's been a wild ride, but I still think, you know, that this one, I think, has the most wide appeal, where it is just a classic story about a fucking evil doll coming to life, and there is, you know, it's just universal type of fear that it taps into, you know, like, uh, you know, fear of your nightmares, Freddy, fear of going camping, Jason, and fear of evil dolls coming to life, fear of leprechauns with Leprechaun. Maybe are leprechauns scary? I don't know. Chucky versus Leprechaun. That'd be awesome. Come on, that would be awesome. I think it's a classic film. I guess at this point I'm just rambling on, so not really much else more to say, but I do think it's an absolute classic, and one that just really obligatory to watch for Halloween season, and one that I will watch even if I don't watch all the sequels. If I don't have myself, like a Chucky marathon or whatever, I'll always watch this around Halloween time. At least this, if I can't, fit in a full Chucky marathon, because again, this is kind of like the definitive standalone Chucky movie. Absolutely, that's how I feel about it. And well, this DVD, I actually do not have the Blu-ray of this. I know the Blu-ray set came out last year, but this is the 20th birthday edition, which is pretty decent DVD. The transfer looks good, but I'd be curious to see how it looks on Blu-ray. Let me know below if it's worth getting that set, because the only one I have on Blu-ray is Curse of Chucky. So be interesting to see the other ones, but I don't know. I'm in no hurry. I'm happy with the DVD as it currently stands, so I'll keep watching it. So, yeah. Again, for all these years, I can't count how many times I've seen the movie, but there is just something about it that I think, when I was a kid, it captured my imagination. Wasn't necessarily scared by it, but it kind of sparked that imagination in me. So, I think it was fine for me to watch when I was a kid. It didn't scare me. So, I mean, I wouldn't, endorse, hey kids, watch this movie, But, maybe it is something that you should watch when you're a kid, I think. More than, say, Freddy or Jason, Michael Myers, anything like that. Because I think, it speaks to a kid's point of view. The kid is the star of the movie, Alex Vincent. So, I mean, that says something as well. If you don't want something as, family-friendly as Toy Story. Yeah. So that'll be my review of Child's Play. Thank you very much for watching this extremely, extremely long video. But, I wanted to take my second shot at this review. Hopefully, really, I think I just really went through the whole plot of the movie. I described the movie, so I don't know. If you like this review, let me know. If you thought it was a waste of your time, I'm sorry. I wish I could take the time back, but I can't. So I will not waste it any further. That's my review of Chucky. Thank you, Child's Play. Thank you so very much for watching. Still more horror movies to review. 31 Days of Horror, 2014, still going strong. I have a good amount more to still upload, so I'm not sure when I'm going to upload this one specifically. Probably a little bit closer towards the end, so maybe I have a few more reviews to go at this point. So stay tuned for that. But thank you for watching this whole time. Thank you for watching this review. If hopefully you're still awake, wake up. But that's it. I'm done. I'm done the review. So thanks for watching. Comment, rate, subscribe. Stay tuned for more. See you later.